RE2, we are back, of course, talking that FF7. You know the motherfucking drill, my dudes. My initial plans of the video were to talk about what I thought was, at the time, an upcoming state of play. Because I got the time wrong. When I sat down to make the video, the fucking state of play was already done. Clearly, we got no FF7 Remake Part 3 at the event, which does suck, but at the same time, it's fine. I mean, they did show off Rebirth towards like the end of the showcase when they're talking about the PS5 and the DualSense controller and whatever, but nothing new. The state of play was definitely like decent odds for something for Part 3 just because it was a Japanese like oriented. It's literally state of play Japan, right? It was going to have like English subtitles. It just kind of made sense that you could have something here. Square Enix was a part of the event, but there was no 7 Remake Part 3, no Kingdom Hearts 4, no Dragon Quest 12, nothing for like Nier or whatever else we're kind of anticipating at this point. Now, there are a lot of people out there that are of the mindset that we wouldn't get a first look at Part 3 at a state of play or like a smaller event or something. And I understand that mindset, and for the most part, I do agree. But if you look at like the history of the remake games, it's not improbable that that would happen. I've discussed this before on the channel, but if you kind of ignore like the 2015 reveal of 7 Remake, because that's not even what the game looks like at all anymore, right? If you kind of go to like the 2019 stuff, where we get the current version of Remake, like our first look at that version of the game was at a state of play. It was a state of play like a little teaser or whatever. And in fact, we got another trailer at the Symphonic Reunion like concert or whatever prior to like the E3 like big reveal of 7 Remakes. We had like two smaller looks at the game, two smaller like trailers before we got that big actual reveal. A somewhat similar situation with 7 Rebirth, right? Our first look at that game was at the 25th anniversary live stream, which isn't a big game event. It's a big deal to us. It's a celebration of the anniversary for FF7. It's exciting in that regard, right? But it's not Summer Game Fest, a Tokyo Game Show, Game Awards, an E3, or anything like that. It's kind of a niche live stream event, right? So the idea that we wouldn't get our first look at Part 3 outside of like a big gaming event, I don't think is impossible. Maybe now, obviously, to this point, it hasn't happened yet, and it does look like it's probably going to be the Game Awards, which is a big gaming event. But I don't think it's something that was super unlikely or whatever. Anyways. But yeah, since we've been looking towards the Game Awards anyways for like quite a while now, like it's not a big deal. Like it was kind of an impromptu, obviously, announcement that there's gonna be a state of play. It was Japanese oriented, so like okay, maybe something could happen. But we're looking towards the Game Awards anyways. Ever since like we kind of got through September and nothing really happened in terms of like Part 3 stuff, right? Outside of interviews with Hamaguchi the last couple months. Now Square Enix was a part of state of play, but it was just Dragon Quest VII, which is kind of cool, I guess. And then Octopath Traveler 0, and they announced like a demo for it. I think you can play like the first 3 hours of the game, which is kind of crazy. I know we primarily talk about FF7 on the channel, but you can lump in, Kingdom Hearts 4, Dragon Quest 12, whatever other like kind of bigger projects that might come out from Square Enix in the hopefully near future. We just obviously focus on 7 Remake because that's one we know is being made actively alongside those other games, but we know it's kind of on a schedule of sorts. Like it's coming out, within the next couple of years for sure. Kingdom Hearts 4, you never know. With that fucking franchise, you just don't know when you're going to see that game. Unfortunately, we're kind of in a similar situation with Dragon Quest 12 because Dragon Quest 11 is creeping up on a 10-year-old game, at least when it initially dropped on the 3DS, right? Like, it's been in development for a goddamn long time, dude. It's getting close to, like, Kingdom Hearts 2 to Kingdom Hearts 3 status, right? Like, the amount of time that's in between those games. Like, it's creeping up on that. And we've only ever had, like, mild updates about it, that it's actively being made, but we've never seen anything. Like, even if Kingdom Hearts 4 is kind of like in a weird state as well, we've seen a trailer for it and at least got, very recently some screenshots for it and stuff. Like, we're getting stuff very rarely for that game. We've had practically nothing other than a fucking title and like a logo for Dragon Quest 12. It's kind of crazy. And I know Square Enix is one of those companies that just doesn't really like to give updates too often, but it's still, like, I don't understand why. Like, Dragon Quest 12 has been being made for almost a decade at this point, in some form or another. I don't know when they started like full development on it, but goddamn, again, Dragon Quest 11 is almost 10 years old. Like, there's no way they're not super far along. Even if they've gone through development hell, they still have years and years and years of making that game. Like, there's got to be like something to show, some screenshots, a little teaser trailer, something, dude. It's like, why do we have nothing for that game? And kind of a similar thing for Kingdom Hearts 4. We got our initial look at the goddamn game was like a 4-minute trailer or something. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Why do we not get to see these games ever? I do understand the idea of maybe not wanting to show off a game early, and I get why that could be detrimental, and that's what they did with Kingdom Hearts 4, right? But at the same time, years of silence is also very detrimental. Like, when you're just giving us nothing, right? There's only, and I mean only, a net positive to be showing off screenshots or little teasers or aspects of the game instead of absolutely goddamn nothing. It's just weird to me. Anyways, the Game Awards is exactly 1 month away as of right now, as of this video today, right? it seems to be the most likely, for sure at this point, place for us to have 7 Remake Part 3. If it's not there, I don't know what the hell's going on, because Hamaguchi's been hyping this shit up. My god, every fucking interview of the 30 interviews he's done is not too distant future, the near future, whatever. And if it's not the Game Awards, then what the hell are we even talking about it for? Unless they just decide to like shadow drop a trailer on social media for some reason, which they've done before with one of the trailers, I believe, for like maybe Remake or Rebirth. I don't remember which one, where they just dropped it. Like it wasn't at a gaming event. It was just, here's like the theme song trailer or the final trailer or something like that. I think that one's practically impossible for at least a first look trailer for Part 3, but you know, there is that slight possibility that could happen. But again, Game Awards. What is that first look going to be? I don't know. Pretty sure we've discussed this, you know, a few times at least, and maybe even did a dedicated video for it, but generally our first look trailers are small, like a minute something, maybe pushing towards 2 minutes, depending on what the game is or whatever. But generally it's like kind of a smaller look trailer, and they don't show a ton from the game. For the State of Play trailer that I mentioned previously that we got for Remake back in 2019, it's almost exclusively Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 stuff. I think there is like a brief little scene from like the sewer section in like whatever chapter that is, Chapter 9 or something. Like, it's almost exclusively early game stuff, right? And mostly just, like, kind of the bombing mission and, like, Cloud talking to Aerith and shit. And with the gameplay that it shows up right here, we see, like, the Sector 5 reactor stuff. So, like, there is a little bit of kind of, like, sort of later stuff in the game, but it's almost exclusively early game stuff. And, of course, with the Rebirth first look trailer we got, it was exclusively Chapter 1 stuff, right? Like, the Nibelheim flashback shit and just, like, Zack walking Cloud to Midgar, which is literally the beginning of the game. We can probably expect something in between those two trailers, right? Either just exclusively Chapter 1 stuff from Part 3, or like Chapter 1, Chapter 2 type shit, kind of early game stuff, and maybe a little sprinkle of like mid to late game shit, right? I do think they'd want to maybe show off the Highwind, not necessarily gameplay of the Highwind, maybe. They might go so far as to show that, I don't know. But that's obviously like one of the most anticipated things for the next game, is getting to have the Highwind and the world traversal. So I can see them like showing off the Highwind in some way or another with the first trailer, maybe. I will say it's kind of hard to know what we would see with that trailer, as in what would Chapter 1 of Part 3 be, because we just don't know where we're starting. We're obviously chasing after Sephiroth, duh. But at least with what they show at the end of the game, we fly in like the opposite direction of the snowy mountains in the distance, which are confirmed to be like the, you know, the North Continent or whatever, like, you know, Icicle Inn area and whatever. Like, we don't go that direction. Also, despite meeting Sid in Rebirth, we didn't actually go to Rocket Town, which you do go to in Disc 1 of the original FF7, right? So I've kind of thrown the theory out there before that maybe we could pick up in Rocket Town. Maybe we go back there to kind of like refuel the Tiny Bronco, or kind of go to his hometown to kind of get our bearings and figure out the next plan or whatever. I don't know. People have also theorized that we might start the game with like a younger Sephiroth, kind of a flashback sort of thing. And there is a little bit of merit to that, because the first game picks up with the bombing mission, starting as Cloud, right? Second game picks up with us playing as Zack, right? And the prominent characters of the FF7 shit is Zack, Cloud, and Sephiroth. You have the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth cover, the Crisis Core Reunion cover, this logo that's existed since I think the 10th anniversary for FF7 that's been updated throughout the years. So I do think it's an interesting idea that people have come up with, that we might start the third game with a younger Sephiroth. And they've obviously put a decent amount of emphasis on the lore within, you know, the Ever Crisis First Soldier story. We've seen some of that shit in Rebirth, right? Probably gonna see more of it in the third game. So I don't know what you do though. If we start with like a younger Sephiroth, are you just showing like the stuff he did in Rador or something, or you show him like getting the Masamune stuff from Ever Crisis, just some backstory shit with like Glenn, Matt, Lucia, and to kind of give more for who Glenn was in Rebirth or something? I don't entirely know. I'm not sure what you do exactly. Also, if you are showing off young Sephiroth, are you trying to like endear him to people? Are you showing like the good guy stuff he did as young Sephiroth, where he's kind of conflicted or whatever? Or are you showing like the more recent chapters of Ever Crisis in the First Soldier, where you seem kind of doing more evil type shit? I'm not entirely sure exactly. Are they going for a redemption arc? Are we getting that shit? I do think there is some benefit to showing earlier Sephiroth who wasn't evil, to contrast it with the current Sephiroth we have, right? We got a bit of that in Rebirth with the flashback. We get a good chunk of that too with Crisis Core, right? But I do think you could put some more of that into Part 3, but I don't want a redemption arc. I know some people are of that mindset, or expect that, or want that. To put it bluntly, I think it's pretty fucking stupid. It doesn't matter that he has some sort of tragic backstory, because the guy we have now is pure fucking evil, right? He doesn't need a redemption. It doesn't matter if Genova has some sort of hand in what he's doing, and I believe with the original game's lore, like it's implied just because of how like some of the language is used in Japanese, the pronouns or whatever, like that he's in control anyways. It's not like Genova is the one that's making him do anything, if I remember correctly. Genova in some ways is kind of the overarching evil in the world, and so is Hojo, right? But Sephiroth's still a fucking bad guy. Anyways, that's all speculative right now. a month from now, the Game Awards, we might actually finally have our first look at Part 3. And I cannot stress how much I'm excited for that. It's something official to talk about for the game, right? Hopefully like an actual trailer and like some footage from the game. Like that is going to be so damn exciting. But for now, we play the waiting game. We're just counting down the days till the Game Awards. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to the channel, guys. News source in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @ffvii. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Logain, or leave it like Cobain.